Hey, what's up guys? Gear Guy here with another review for you. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Zero Tolerance 0850. Make sure you stick around. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. I definitely appreciate it. Been a little while since I've made a video. I definitely want to start getting more regular with them. I've got a lot of stuff that's kind of in the pipeline, so I figured I'd start out today with a knife review. As the title says, today we're checking out the ZT 0850. Really cool carbon fiber subframe lock by Zero Tolerance. Absolutely love this guy. To be completely honest with you, before we kind of dive into specs and actually talking about the knife itself, it's really kind of become one of my favorite knives. Really has. Great knife. I have seen a lot of criticism about it in Facebook groups and also on other YouTube videos, but I think a lot of that stuff is kind of nitpicky and some of it not necessarily even well-founded in my opinion, but we'll kind of talk about that a little bit later. So just want to go ahead and show you the knife, and then we'll dive into specs and then talk about my opinions and go from there. So as you can see, it's got that beautiful blue carbon fiber, both on the show side as well as the lock side. 6-shooter theme, and part of this is what a lot of people seem to think is a little bit cheesy or gimmicky. Obviously, it's completely personal preference. I think it's actually pretty cool. You can see there the back spacer. And then lock side, you see the titanium subframe lock and the carbon fiber as well. Titanium pocket clip. And then let's check out the blade itself. Really cool sheep's foot blade. Stone washed flats and then satin on the grinds. There's the other side. And that's how it fits in the hand. So let's go ahead and run through specs really quick. Hopefully I don't bore you to death with them though. Overall length on the 0850 is 8.7 inches. It has a 3.75 inch blade, and the blade is 0.16 inches thick. Handle is just shy of 5 inches, again made of blue carbon fiber, and then the subframe lock is titanium. Weighs 4.3 ounces, and unfortunately for you lefties, only carry method is right-handed tip up, and as you can see, of course, it's got the thumb stud there, and it is a collaboration between Dmitry Sinkovich and Todd Rexford as well. So one of the things that I do want to talk about really quick is the steel. It's got 20 CV steel, and to be honest with you, probably my favorite steel at this point. I think it just takes a insanely good edge. I've got a couple other blades in 20 CV. My 5.62 Zero Tolerance 5.62 CF has it, as well as my 0920. So honestly, my favorite steel at this point. I think it's really high quality stuff. Are there better steels out there? Probably, depending on what you intend to use the knife for, but For me, 20 CV is about as perfect as it gets. So, that is specs on the knife. Now let's kind of dive into some of the criticisms about it, and I want to give my opinions on them. So, one of the first things kind of out of the gate is the 6-shooter theme. You know, your pivot here kind of has that 6-shooter theme, as does the thumb stud or disc, whatever you want to call it. Same thing again with the backspacer there. I think that's something that's really and truthfully purely personal preference. And mine, I don't mind it. I think it's actually kind of cool. You know, your opinion may vary, but again, that's what I think, and I don't mind it. One of the other complaints or criticisms about it is the cutout in the blade right there. People say that it's too far forward. You know, it's hard to reach, to choke up on the knife, because and it's kind of pointless. But I wear large, maybe extra large gloves, so I mean, I've got an average sized hand, I think, and my thumb reaches it just fine. I think that's, in my opinion, that's kind of a crazy criticism. I mean, it's perfect to me. Yeah, you've got some jimping right there before the thumb disc or thumb stud, which is nice. You know, you can grip the knife like that, and you do have some jimping that you can use to maintain your grip. But I mean, for me, that's perfect. I don't have to strain. I don't have to adjust my grip from here. You know, the rest of my hand doesn't have to make any adjustment. I can grip it just like that, or I can slide my thumb forward and use that as a thumb ramp. Works perfectly. I actually think it's a really good idea. But there again, your opinion may vary. One of the other criticisms that I've seen is the little cutout right here in the carbon fiber before you get to the subframe lock. Obviously, it doesn't really say on ZT's website what this is necessarily supposed to be for, but every review that I've read or watched says that it's supposed to be a place for you to rest your middle finger when you open the knife to keep you from putting your finger on the lock bar. Maybe that's what it's for, and it probably is. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, if you're going to grip the knife to open it, your fingers are going to fall on the lock bar anyways. I mean, it's kind of an inevitability. If you put your finger back there for some, I mean, it's just a really, really awkward grip, and I think it's kind of pointless. So, again, normal grip on the knife, you're going to be touching the lock bar. And, I mean, unless you're super dainty and can't flip a knife open, I think that criticism is a little bit ridiculous, because I've got nothing but frame locks, and, I mean, you're not going to have a bare, super tight grip on this thing to cause the frame lock or the lock bar to cause so much friction on the blade that it's not going to open. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. You can also, my preferred method to open it is just the Spidey flick, and that works really well also. But again, that criticism of, you know, this cutout being pointless, I think it's a little bit silly. So, and that's another criticism. One of the other things that a couple people did mention is the fact that the pivot and the lock bar and pocket clip aren't the same colors. Same goes with the backspacer. So as you can see, the pivot is a little bit more silver and somewhat shinier, and then your lock bar and pocket clip match, but then the backspacer is a little bit darker. So that is pretty much all the criticisms that I've seen about the knife. And again, kind of like I mentioned, a lot of them are just purely personal preference. And for me, they don't bother me. The little nitpicky things as far as color goes, that's so minor in the grand scheme of things. The 6-shooter theme, is it cheesy? Yeah, maybe, but I don't mind it. I think that the knife itself is just so perfect otherwise that doesn't even matter. It doesn't bother me. Ergonomically, I absolutely love it. It fits my first finger here. It's got a little bit of a ramp to make me feel secure there. Doesn't have necessarily a hot spot. The pocket clip kind of falls right into the web of my hand, and I mean, it's perfect. I can get all of my fingers on it, which is kind of a problem that I have with a lot of, your somewhere between 3 and 3.5 inch bladed knives. When you've got large or extra large hands, occasionally your pinky finger tends to kind of slip off the back a little bit, but you've got plenty of grip with this. The carbon fiber isn't polished or anything, and it's very, very grippy. And again, to me, it's a perfect knife. I absolutely love the thing. Fanboy a little bit, yeah, maybe. But again, great knife. And this isn't just I took it out of the box and checked it, and I'm telling you I love it. No, not the case. I've carried this thing for about 6 weeks, and I've used it, and haven't had to sharpen it, haven't had to strop it. The edge is still perfect. Use it about every other day, but it does still get pocket time, even if I'm not using it. And I don't have any complaints about it. It is on washers. I did forget to mention that. Some people may or may not like that. I feel like for me, or if you're going to use it as a work knife, where there's potential to get a lot of crud and build up in the pivot, washers is a good thing, because you're not going to foul up bearings with that. Just take it apart, clean the washers off, and throw it back together, and you're kind of good to go. So, and even with washers, I wouldn't say, obviously, that it drops free, but I mean, it closes pretty well. I don't have any complaints or issues with it. Lockup, didn't talk about that. Let's see if we can get a good shot of the lockup. There you can see. Probably somewhere around 20%. Really sturdy, and of course it does have the lock bar insert. Hopefully you can see some of the milling on the frame lock. And that's pretty much it, guys. One other thing to note or mention that I forgot about as well is what I like about the subframe lock is the fact that they hid the screws for it underneath the pocket clip. So, you know, talking about fit and finish a little bit, you know, that just kind of speaks for it, because you can't see the screws that are holding it in. You know, you can see them just under the pocket clip there. But I mean, the carbon fiber is chamfered. Edges are rounded really nicely. And again, just a really, really good knife. So, again, guys, ZT-0850. Love the thing. I think it's a fantastic knife. If you're on the fence about it, pick one up. Get one new. I think right now, as of this time in 2018, they're retailing new for right at $320. But when I see them go in Facebook groups, they're usually priced somewhere between $220 and $270. So for me, you know, if you can find this secondhand for $225, even $250 for a super lightweight carbon fiber, big knife with really good steel, I would pick it up. Absolutely great knife. Can't say enough good things about it, and you should definitely check it out. So again, ZT-0850, check it out. You're definitely gonna like it, I think.